morning. Fola here. I'm just doing a little different option versus a live today, just recording, but I just wanted to have a talk. I'm listening to Rachel Hollis podcast, RISE. If you haven't heard of it, check it out. Thanks, Brittany. I think you'd mentioned the book to me, and then Marianne had lent me her copy, which I actually haven't fully finished. This is what I do. Apparently, I take months to read a book, reading part by part, but it's been really great because of course, even though I'm pausing between, it's exactly what I need to read comes up. But yeah, I'm just listening to, I think it's her most recent podcast episode on, where she's interviewing a lady named Rashida, who has a non-for-profit called Girls Who Code. And I just love the podcast. I haven't listened to very many episodes, to be honest, but I just really it's all about empowering women and entrepreneurs, and especially they in this episode are talking about women working hard and trying to build their business and do all these things and stepping into areas of work that they aren't necessarily experts on, and how we usually as women are being brought up to be perfectionists. And throwing in the whole area of having to be a mother on top, and the guilt that comes along with, sometimes, not for everyone, being a mother, trying to start a business, doing all these different things while still trying to maintain your relationship with your children, which is definitely something that I have struggled with. And not even with building a business. I think that can be in general for most parents, especially if you're a kind of a single parent. You're trying to maintain your life and your own self-love and balance while supporting children, and that can be really challenging. So I really encourage you to check out that podcast. I'll see if I can link it in this, I assume. And it helped me in a sense, I feel, just hearing that whole concept of doing something even though maybe you're not an expert in it, and that we live in this day and age of technology where we have access to information, access to knowledge just at our fingertips, or at the voice of our tongue, the tip of our tongue. Okay, Google, right? You can ask a question and you can learn something, and so we can use that to kind of propel ourselves forward. And not that there's not going to be any fear, anxieties, because I think that's just a part of life, but that we can go and step into that more and more. And that seems to be a theme I'm always talking about, but it's just so true. I've said even before, sometimes I record these videos and there's that just inner anxiety kind of bubbling inside. And it really does. It makes me want to doubt myself, or not want to step onto or in front of the camera, or whatever you want to call it. But it's as soon as you do it, then it's easy, right? But another thing I wanted to kind of just mention with this is, this morning, I'm just on my way to work, kind of behind. But because my daughter ended up having an allergic reaction to something, and so she's kind of just at home right now with my parents. But of course, try leaving a 5-year-old while you're, at home. No, mommy, don't go, stay. And it's oh, well, then I feel guilty for leaving her, but it's well, you have to go to work. But she can't comprehend that, right? Anyway, so my dad's with her, and he's trying to just encourage her as well. But it just seemed everything, at first I was initially kind of getting some resistance, and she's clinging on to me, and I'm oh, I should just go now, push her away, just go, even though that's going to be super hard for both of us. But instead I just slowed down and just kind of was okay, you know what, there's no rush. Yeah, you might be a little bit late, which isn't ideal. You can make up for that time throughout the day, I guess. And I'm just let it go. But then within a few minutes, what happened is my dad ends up I don't know, maybe, I feel everyone's kind of being guided inwardly, higher self, spirit, to, act and do things. But he came down with a coloring book, which I was just And it didn't actually sink in, but he just gave her the coloring book, and she's like, here, and like she sat down, and yeah, that took away all the tension from me. And I was like, okay, like now I'm like, can you pay attention while I give you a hug and say bye? Like, hello. But it wasn't until just like a few minutes ago, as I'm in my vehicle, I'm like, oh, wow, like as soon as I just kind of released all that like pressure for things to happen a certain way, it like just totally worked out like so smoothly. If only I could be more aware of this throughout all my days. So, you know, but it's kind of just like really what I'm trying to say is like, even though we might not know exactly how things are going to happen or how they'll play out or what we need to do, if we just kind of like breathe and just like pause for that moment, then it'll be what it is. And it works out usually better than we could ever have thought, right? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, I think. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. I was in a place I thought I would do more like Facebook Live videos and all that. And I like set an intention, or not an intention, it was actually more, I set a reminder on my phone for like a 30-day, every day I'm going to do this Facebook Live challenge. Just, I don't talk about things, whatever it might be. And then I was just sort of feeling, man, I don't really know about that. But I'm in this place right now. I'm like working with David, my partner, to develop some stuff, and we're kind of working on a project together in a variety of ways. So I just want to kind of put that out. I'm excited, even though at times again it's like, well, what the heck am I doing? What are we doing here? What does that look like? How do we get on the same page? I know it's gonna happen, like, or it is happening. Even just, you know, the last day or two, I can start to see some things kind of pointing with like the podcast, listening to that, getting that encouragement. You know, so I know that happens throughout life. We, in little subtle ways, you know, you are getting messages, guidance, whatever you want to call it, kind of nudging you forward, and with whatever it might be, you know. So just trust that and like go with it. And I feel like I was really sitting in a lot of like worry about, you know, not being able to perform and not being able to create like something that's going to be amazing, and so a lot of like self-doubt and like anger and all that good stuff kind of comes into play, or it did. But I found like as soon as I just kind of accepted that that's the case and be like, hey, well, like I don't really know what else I can do, that's how I'm feeling. And then I went on to some like online groups I'm part of, with like other women entrepreneurs and kind of like-minded people that, you know, I trust that they have gone through or going through similar experiences and have, you know, some brave words to share. That I just kind of went on there and explained a bit about what was going on, and some of the things I read, it just really was encouraging to me to see that, oh, okay, this might be a normal thing that I'm having to experience right now, like don't fight it. And then of course, you know, then it starts going back on the up cycle part of the whole wheel. So anyway, just keep doing what you're doing. Oh, I'm not holding the phone, it just fell, don't worry. And yeah, keep an eye out on here. And also, I think I'm going to make a video about, a little bit about like my experience having gone to this Vipassana meditation back at the end of May, beginning of June, just because I haven't really talked about that a whole lot on here, but it really was quite life-changing for me, and I think it's probably time that I do that. So I hope you have a great day, and if you have any comments or questions or anything, please leave me a message. Bye.